Hi everyone, this is Smriti. Welcome to QA automation classes. So today we are going to learn about the framework architecture. In the last class we have seen how exactly what are exactly the folder structure we are going to have, and for each of the folder structure what it is intended to do, right? So we have seen all those things, and we have also added our dependencies in the pom.xml. But in today's class it is more about the architecture, right? What kind of architecture we are going to follow in developing this rest assured framework, and how exactly those folder structure fits into our architecture. Okay, so whatever the folder structure we have defined yesterday, right, in the last class, that we are going to look into this one. Okay, so how exactly this fits into our complete architecture and how the communication happens between them. Okay, so in order to save some time, I have come up with the one diagram. It is in the whiteboard, so let's open the whiteboard. TDD rest assured framework. Okay, let's open this. Okay, so if you see here, I have taken the folder structure screenshot, and here this is the complete architecture. Okay, so we'll keep them side by side and we'll try to understand if we are covering everything or not. Okay, so initially what will happen? Okay, so initially we have our pom.xml, that is the pom.xml is like the dependency management and the build management tool. So from here we'll trigger the build, we'll run our pom.xml. Okay, so how in our BDD framework we run our pom.xml, and then that pom.xml will have information of the cucumber runner. Okay, and with that cucumber runner we'll have the list of the feature files. Okay, so what are the feature files we are going to pick up? So those will be configured in the cucumber runner, and from the cucumber runner we'll obviously have the reports. Okay, so reports will get generated in the different format: HTML, PDF, JSON, and XML. If you are following my BDD framework development session also, there you have seen all these default reports available to the cucumber getting generated, as well as we can have our extend report configured. Okay, so apart from this we'll have also the extend report. So let me add that one. So let's say, okay, here only I can update this one. uh, my bad. Okay, so let's say, sorry, the reports. Okay, and here I can say extend report. Okay, after XML we can say extend report. Okay, so that is also there, so we can add the extend report as well. Okay, let me reduce the size a little bit. Okay, so little more. Okay, this is perfect. Okay, so now the extend report will also be part of the this reporting structure. Okay, and in cucumber runner we'll have the information of the hooks. Okay, so where exactly hooks is present, and in the hooks, okay, what we are going to have, we are going to have the like in BDD Selenium framework we might have seen we are setting up the browser driver, right? So that is the at the rate before annotation. So here in the before annotation we can set up the base URI. I'm not talking about the endpoint, I'm talking about the base URI. Okay, so there is a difference between them, we'll come to know when we start the framework development. Okay, and then we can have at the rate after method, where we can have the tear down method, like if you have acquired the connection to the database and you want to release them, so you can do that here. Okay, and again when the your scenario fails, you can have the screenshot taken for that one, right? So for each execution failure you can have the steward screenshot taken, right? So now what we can have then we'll have the different features. Cucumber runner will have the different features. Okay, and in the hooks also it will have access to the config.properties. This config.properties is nothing but where we will have our base URL, and if you want to keep some queries like SQL queries and all, we can keep them, okay, in the properties file. So basically mostly if you say, the properties file will keep the URL endpoint related informations. Okay, so that is the one. And we can keep the like resources here, like let's www.xyz.com/books. So we can keep those kind of resources also here, or otherwise we can keep the URL, okay, base URL. Okay, and then a cucumber runner will have access to the feature files. So each feature, okay, so then each feature will be interacting with the step definition. Okay, so as I have told you again, right, so the feature file, we have multiple feature files. Okay, so similarly here, how exactly we are going to design the feature files? Because if you see in our UI automation framework, okay, let's compare with the UI automation framework so that you will have little more clarity. Okay, so in UI automation framework, if you see, the functionality wise we are designing the feature, right? So user login is one feature, then user registration is one feature, right? So and here if you see the functionalities are limited, whether it is a get call, it is a put call, it is a post call, right? It's a patch call. So these many calls are there, okay? So these calls will remain same, okay? So API endpoints, on the different endpoints we can perform this kind of the operation. So some endpoint will be for the get, some endpoint will support post, right? So those kind of operation we can do, and some endpoint can support multiple operations also. So basically while designing the feature files in the framework that I designed in the company, so what I do usually, I create the feature file to be for a particular endpoint, okay? So let's say there is a comments endpoint, okay, or there is a profile endpoint, okay? So we can have a one feature file, all the operations what we can do in the feature file, that comment feature file, we can create a comment. So we can design a scenario in the comment feature for the post operation, right? So you want to retrieve the comment, so you can have a get method, you can define the scenario, get method scenario, okay? And then you can update the comment, so you can have a put method, right? And patch, if you want to update some part, you can have the patch method, right? If you want to delete the comment, you can get the delete method. So basically, so for each API endpoint you define one feature file, okay? So any operation that is applicable and available to that endpoint, for them we can define our scenarios inside that feature, okay? And then each feature will be having their respective step definitions, right? So let's say some comments, right? So for comments feature, let's say we have four scenarios. One is create comment, then get comment, and then update comment and delete comment. So for those four scenarios, whatever steps we have designed, we'll have a step definition similarly, okay? Comment step definition. Inside the step definition package we can have the comment step definition, okay? And inside that we can define all those steps, right? And then the step definition is going to interact with the API classes. So what exactly is this API classes? So let's say here it is not one to many, it will be mostly one to one. I'll tell you why. So let's say step definition is the comment step definition, right? So for the comment step definition, whatever the actual operations we have to do, get operation, so that get operation will be defined inside the API class. Like how we had the page classes, here we will have the API classes, okay? So in the API classes package, right, so we'll have a comment class. In the comment class we'll define those methods like get method, put method, post method, delete method, all those methods will be defined over here, okay? And this API class, okay, I can get rid of this one, we don't need them, because it is not going to interact with the other API classes, okay? So if at all it needs, because all the API we are keeping it individually, right? So API endpoint and their step definition and their API classes, okay? So they are going to be exclusive for each other, like they are like not exclusive, they're like for each other, okay? So you don't have to like the comments API step definition doesn't need to interact with the some other step definition, some other API class, okay? So mostly this will be like this, okay? And I can delete log4j we can have, okay? So log4j we can have, and here from the step definition we can have this one. So this one I can delete, the second one it's difficult to select, okay? And this one I can delete, okay? And here also if you see this one, so if you see here also this one we can delete, this one, okay? And this one, okay? We'll see if we need them, we'll see, but mostly we will not need them. And then the step definition again, and then they can have we'll have the log4j also, right? So we'll be generating the log files at each step, we'll be logging, and those log4j related configuration, this step definition and these API classes can also access, okay? And as I told you in the API classes, right here if you see the API classes, here you will have the actual operations for that endpoint, okay? So comments endpoint, I said comment endpoint supports 4 operation, like the get comments, first create comment, post operation, right? So we'll have a post call there, and then we'll have a get call there to retrieve the comments, all the comments, and then create a comment, get a comment, update a comment. If you want to update, so there is a put call or patch call we can have, okay? And then if you want to delete, so we can have a delete call. So all those details, all those actual calls will be as part of the API classes, okay? And after that API classes also, they will have access to the log4j, okay? Because the logging will happen at the class level also, right? At API class level, what exactly is happening, so those level logs will get generated. And API classes will in turn have access to utilities. Suppose there are some reusable components. When your framework is very big, that time definitely we need the reusable components to be used. Okay, so that time we can keep all those in the utilities and they can access to those utilities file. Okay, so and what about this Pojo classes? Okay, so if you see, I have created one Pojo classes package also. So this Pojo classes package is nothing but your, you can say, plain old Java objects. Okay, so here we'll have the let's say comments, right? So let's say for comment we need comment ID, and we need the comment ID, we need the comment message. Okay, these two things we need. So you need to pass these two values, ID and message, right? So how you will pass? In the form of a JSON, right? Because our endpoint supports the JSON. So now we'll create a Pojo class for the comment, and we'll have these two variables over there. One is the ID and one is the like int ID. We can have another one string message. Okay, and then will pass this Pojo classes. Okay, it will have the, will set it, will get the actual values for the ID and the message from our feature file. Okay, so through the data table or to some mechanism will pass it from the feature file. Okay, those data will be passed from the feature file, and then those data will be set into this ID and the message through the setter methods. Okay, and then we can use that class object, right, as the input request parameter or input request payload to the endpoint. Okay, and then when we hit the that comments endpoint with the post method call, so with this what is that ID, comment ID and the comment message, the new comment is going to get created. Okay, so that's what is the use of the Pojo class. So apart from the Pojo class also, we can go with the our key value pair through with the help of the hash map also, right? So in that cases we don't need to have this Pojo classes itself. Okay, so in the API class itself we can create our hash map, and we can keep the key value pairs. Okay, and those values whatever we are getting it from the feature file, we can put them and inside the map, and we can use that map as the request body. Okay, while hitting that endpoint with the post call. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much the same. Only one thing I'm missing over here, if you see configuration. So what I'm thinking, like most of the configurations we can keep it inside the properties file, config.properties. We might not need the complete uh, package for this one. So we'll see if we have any other configuration files to be kept, we will keep here. Otherwise we'll keep in the properties file, or maybe in the configuration we can have our log4j, right? But those will be part of the resources, like if you are following, right? So our BDD framework development you might have seen there. Okay, so those are part of your resources. Here all those log4j2 dot properties and or the XML file and whatever is there, Cucumber related, not the extend report related things. Okay, everything will be here. Okay, so we might not need it, but if you see all those whatever the packages or the folder structure is there, that can be used here. Okay, those are used here. Okay, and reports will be, it is in the output folder, so I have not shown that one, but yeah, all other things you have seen we are using. So this is nothing but your architecture. Okay, so whenever there is a interview, right, in an interview, interviewer is asking, can you explain me your rest assured framework architecture? So make sure you start from pom.xml, the execution start from the pom.xml, and pom.xml has the cucumber runner information, and from there we have the plugins, right? We'll see that. Okay, so and in the cucumber runner it generates lots of report. Okay, you will say extend report, HTML, PDF, JSON and XML. These are the default cucumber reports, and then runner has access to hooks and the feature files. Okay, and each feature file will have, and each feature file will have access to the step definitions, and for the step definition they have access to the respective API classes. This is nothing but your kind of page classes, what how you have the page classes in your UI automation framework. Similarly you have the API classes. Okay, and these API classes will have they will interact with the log4j to generate the logs, and they will interact with the Pojo classes to construct the request payload, and these API classes also they will interact with the utilities for the reusable components. Okay, and hooks will have the before and after annotation, before and after annotations. Yeah, in the before annotation we can set up the base URL, and then in the after annotation we can have the tear down methods, and we can take the screenshot on the execution of the failure. Okay, test execution failure. So this is what you need to explain, and you have to first, before explaining that, you will say this is my folder structure, we have these many folders and features are inside the resources, and this folder structure how they are going to use. So if you can draw better, you can draw this architecture. Okay, and you can show this is how exactly our framework is going to be designed. So if you stay with me to the end, you will see our framework following this complete architecture. Okay. This is almost similar to whatever we have done in our BDD framework for the Selenium. It is similar. Okay, it's not same, I'll say it is kind of similar. Okay, here we have Pojo classes and API classes. Those things are different, right? And here we don't do the browser setup and all. It is all like API level, right? So we'll see that. Okay, so okay, so that's all to this class, guys. If you guys are really enjoying this session, I'll request you to subscribe to my channel, Q Automation Classes, and please stay tuned to the classes for the upcoming sessions. And if you guys are really enjoying, please give a thumbs up, give a like to the my content, and share it with your friends and colleagues. And please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you everyone. We'll meet in the next class. Bye bye.